Hello, and welcome to today's live chapter reading of Descallia, Masters of the Consulate by Sylvia Black. Brought to you by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Salvatore. I watched from the ceiling-high windows of the third-floor mansion, a modern-day replica of the 19th century estate and home to the Descallia clan for centuries before being destroyed by our enemies. The ordinarily calm Tyrrhenian Sea is pummeling the overcast Amalfi coast, the deep blue of its color reflected by the moon, which only signifies the catastrophic storm brewing far below and halfway across the world. Although only a couple hours drive north, a trip to Rome will not only delay my journey, but cause an immediate upheaval to the consulate. And we cannot afford that. The board, which is comprised of 12 masters representing their clan interests, can be contentious on a good day. They come together grudgingly to review issues that concern us all, ensure the vampire's common good across the globe, and guarantee members of the human syndicate stay contained to ventures we have allowed them to control. Even ruling over a diverse and skillful team of warriors who go into combat at a moment's notice brings me no peace at the moment. When one of the guilty could be our own, or the beginning of a well-planned coup to place blame on our kind, I must handle it differently to ensure the balance is maintained. I will not allow everything we have worked for to be destroyed. The desk phone rings, and I hit the button to engage the speaker system, continuing to rummage through the papers on my office desk, flinging the ones of no value to the floor until I find the ones I need. Salvatore. I have everything you need for the trip to Vegas prepared. Your passport and other papers are in order, and a jet will arrive at the private strip in less than an hour with a full flight crew for the trip to the States, Master. I'll have your baggage ready for you downstairs when you're ready. I growl my frustration because I have no patience for mundane details, but also because the last thing I need is a 13-hour trip. It'll be far easier to transport myself than to travel in a bullet-shaped bus in the air to the city that has become a melting pot for various vampire clans and human syndicates, each leader enamored by the cash flowing into the city. And now, suddenly everyone has sprouted visions of controlling the city that never sleeps, one of the largest growing criminal hubs in North America. Unfortunately, paper and digital trails are necessary to keep humans amenable in this day and age. Adjust and adapt with time, a motto we must continue to remember, so I will fly to the fucking desert halfway around the world. True to Edmundo's word, half an hour later, my bags are into the trunk of a long black town car amid the swirling wind and rain. The century-old servant weathers the storm as any good domestic would do. I slide into the backseat's soft leather interior as he takes the umbrella away, brushing the drop of rain that has landed on my suit with a swipe. As I adjust my tie and gold and diamond cuffs, he closes the door. Settled for the short ride to the private airstrip, I connect via cell with Lucas, my second in command and friend for as many centuries as I can count. He is one of the few worthy of my trust, an underboss who has always been formidable in overseeing the business's operational side while ensuring as a clan we maintain balance and harmony with the humans. It is a critical necessity until the timing is right and we are no longer the minority or must fight for our very own existence. This is Lucas. I'm on my way to the airport. What did you learn? The situation is escalating, Salvatore. Aside from all the regional heads clamoring for control of the city, another woman has been abducted. I don't have a lot of information yet, though. The cops have been keeping it quiet as hell, but I send Vin underground to see if he can get any details. I nod, silently approving of the plan, although he can't see it. Vin has been with our clan for centuries, and has developed a knack for blending into other clans and the human's environment as our needs arise. Make sure he knows to report only to us. Of course. Vin's telling me women are disappearing at an alarming rate in the city. They don't know who's responsible yet, but somebody's kidnapping these women right off the streets of Vegas. And we're not just talking ladies of the night. There are reports of them being taken while out at a club or walking home. One woman, last seen grocery shopping, never made it back to her house. We knew trafficking was still going on in small pockets, but it's been nothing of this magnitude. All of a sudden, the police can't keep up with the reports. And they're all taken at night. I growl, my frustration growing as I read his thoughts. Exactly. And have the police questioned any of the clans? I ask, wondering how long it'll be before the police department and the entire city begin looking toward the vampire community as the guilty ones, and start fearing that they or their woman will become our next good meal. It seems every half century, a coup of this type puts us on the defensive, scrambling to protect our name and honor in the communities that would rather believe we are the root of all evil than accept us for what we are. Not yet. Vin said they don't want to start a finger-pointing war or get the humans all stirred up either. But you're right to think that. Each woman taken has some tie or has had a previous relationship with one of us. The police either know this or they're keeping it under wraps. They plan to send an undercover detective. Let her put her ears to the ground and see what she can find out before they do anything further. I snarl. One human woman? Stupidity! We pull up to the private check-in point at the tarmac. Edmunda gets out and hands them our papers. Lucas pauses and sighs heavily, causing my teeth to grind. Speak. You're not gonna like what I have to tell you any more than I liked hearing it. This woman has powers. My eyebrows raise. Powers? She's a clairvoyant police officer and has helped them solve numerous cases in and out of the city. They're counting on her to give them the leads they need and are using all their pull to keep these cases out of the newspapers until she does. Is she a witch? A fairy? Not certain, Salvatore. I just learned about it myself, and I haven't met the woman personally. I understand the police want her to begin with our clubs and casinos. We're the largest, and they know you're the overmaster of all the clans. It's a logical place for them to start an investigation. Wait. I place the phone on mute while answering the gate attendant's questions. The blonde in the ponytail is an aggressive human. She has painted red lips, bats her caked-on eyelashes, and licks her lower lip. The smell of her arousal is heavy, but doesn't flicker my interest at all. I give her a small, conciliatory smile and head up the ramp of the powerful, sleek, silver Gulfstream with the Descallia family crest proudly displayed on the tail. I settle into a recliner in the main cabin, loosening my tie, returning to my conversation, and leaving Edmundo to talk with the crew. The police sending this woman to our clubs first is good news. It'll be easier to control the situation. I want you to find out who she is and get a detailed report on her, and I want it yesterday. I'll find you when I arrive. I'll prepare the report and send you a picture along with what I have on the woman in the next few moments, and I disconnect before Lucas finishes. A short-skirted redhead enters the main cabin. The attendant walks to the bar and in the corner rearranges a few things. Would you care for a drink? She offers. Red wine. I tell the young attendant, approving of the bottle that she holds up for my inspection with a nod. She pours a dark liquid while openly glancing in my direction. I can sense her pulse quickening, and the air begins to mingle with her scent and aggressiveness. The redhead saunters my way, swaying her hips suggestively. I'm Callie, and I'm happy to service any need you have on the trip, she says, ensuring any short-lived interest in her exceptional body fades away rather quickly. Leave me. Her bright pink lips tighten before she makes her way out of the cabin. The culture is changing. Human women are becoming more aggressive, comfortable in their sexual prowess and combative skills. While intriguing, I prefer a woman in my bed and underneath me to be soft, supple, and submissive to my orders. I skim the Vegas Tribune's latest news on my iPad, looking for any mention of the newest abductions while I finish my wine. Not a word of even one missing person. The police keeping the information this tightly reined in is a signal just how precarious the situation is and how easily an all-out war can ensue without careful handling of every detail. Lucas's message pops onto my screen with a picture of a woman who has startling green eyes, the creamiest skin, and long dark hair. A human of 26 years who answers to the name of Luciana Denaro. But that's as far as I get into the description. The depth of her black pupils in the center of the kaleidoscope green pulls me back to her picture with mesmeric power, creating energy that grows in force the longer I gaze, traveling to my loins and awakening the desire to both consume and feast. I avert my stare with effort, inhaling profoundly and still hungering with desire for the creature with the powers. I walk to the sleek black bar in the corner, retrieve a quart of blood from the refrigerator below, and drink it only to devour another, and then another, before the first signs of satiety begin to form. I finish the fourth before making my way to the master bedroom. The walls are gold and decorated with historical carvings in place of windows, similar to the main cabin. I close the door and transport to the center of the room, opening the long rectangular coffin that sits off the floor on a supporting wooden pedestal, bringing it to waist height. While usually a bed will do, 13 hours of solitude is an occasion to hibernate. in undisturbed luxury. The pillow and bedding are lined in rich red velvet, a welcome sight after many sleepless nights. I wisp into its fold, bring the lid down, and dream of a human with mesmerizing kaleidoscope eyes, a creamy neck, and ethereal energy I have not felt for more than 3 centuries. When I've stripped her bare, the green-eyed creature shivers before me, her eyes cast down, awaiting my command. Kneel. Yes, Master Descallia. Chapter 2. Luciana. The station house is full of activity. I weave my way through the throng of wooden desks filled with detectives who have a reputation for wearing suits and sitting on their asses while us peons hit the beat. The claim is detectives don't make more money than us, but I call bullshit on that. There's a reason other than sitting at a desk and out of the sun that causes everyone to clamor like hell to make rank around this joint. I pass a few regulars filling out paperwork in triplicate, trying to get released after a weekend raid, no doubt. The visitors are always surprised to learn prostitution isn't legal in Vegas. Instead, only allowed at licensed establishment and conveniently for the city folks and their businesses. These places are nowhere near the Strip. The resident regulars are always more than pleased to keep the visitors happy, though. And the men and women in blue, rounding up the girls, issuing fines, and sending them back out into the streets to do it all over again, filling the pockets of their pimps and the establishments who take a healthy cut. I slip into my well-worn battleship gray chair at the back of the station, facing Neil over the shared metal desk. He looks tired and is just getting off the phone. Long weekend? One of the busiest I've had in a while. I passed Neil a coffee, picked up on the way to work. Black, no cream. I thought you could use it after weekend duty. I'm not looking forward to mine in a couple weeks. What is it about this time of the year that brings out all the loons? I take a sip of my concoction, fully loaded with hazelnut cream, a dash of nutmeg, and cinnamon topping. Thanks. I didn't even have time to finish the paperwork. I came in early to catch up before I head up the mountains with Candy for a few days of relaxation. You better not let the captain hear you. I take a glance around. How'd you get out of here without filling your report last night? He'll seriously hound you about his rules if he learns you skipped out without putting them on his desk before you left. Morgan's not gonna find out. Neil narrows his eyes at me. At least not unless you keep yammering on and on about it. It's all done and neatly on his desk. He'll scan the reports, pencil whip his name, and no one will be the wiser. Famous last words. You worry way too much, Luce. You need to relax. And you know what they say about rules. He laughs, and his eyes twinkle with mischief. I narrow my eyes at my partner of 3 years. If you get us hauled into the captain's office, you're going to wish you hadn't. Neil laughs, letting out a deep belly chuckle before taking a drink of his coffee. The clanking of the captain's blinds hitting the glass of his window interrupts our banter and is a sure sign he's heading to the floor. Denaro, in my office now, Captain Morgan bellows. Damn it. Great start to the week, I muttered to Neil, who's barely able to contain his laughter behind the stern exterior he now tries to portray. Paybacks are hell, I mumble, walking to the captain's office, although half-heartedly, because the seriousness of the impending situation begins to take root. My mind swirls, ebbing and flowing with a slowly unveiling premonition of what's to come. I try centering the force, attempting to calm it as I close the door and take a seat across from the tall, lean, dark-haired man who likes to give the impression of running the department with an iron fist. Morgan skims a pile of paperwork on his desk, flipping and signing page after page while I wait. He hands a stack to me. Here, give this to Neil and tell him that next time he skips out before completing his end-of-shift paperwork, I'm going to put his ass on traffic patrol. That would typically bring a smile to my face, but my mind is still swirling with image after image of nauseating despair. I swallow through the lump in my throat, focusing the energy and allowing it to permeate my senses. I can hear one mother crying for her daughter, a sister praying for her loved one's return, and so many other images that don't quite form in clarity. The force dissipates with a swoosh of unfelt air, and it's gone as quickly as it came, leaving me with a void that takes time and focus to close. I glance up, and the captain is watching me intently, his brow knit with concern. You know what I need to ask you, Luce. Not the details, but enough. Missing women? At least 2? Anna and Laurel, but shadows are swimming in the clouds. So many more if I had to guess. Anna's mother sews for a living or something similar. Perhaps a quilter? Laurel's sister is on the verge of dying, Captain. She's using drugs heavily or is significantly medicated and sick. She won't survive this. Jesus, are you okay? I nod. Just takes a lot out of me sometimes. Other times it's like talking to a next door neighbor. All right, so let me fill in the gaps and we'll go from there. We've got 5 missing women, all from the Vegas area with no clue to go on. I would have called you in sooner, but the brass upstairs wanted to keep it quiet. You know this is a 1-story building in the middle of a desert. He tries to look stern while stifling a smile. Anyway, let's say for whatever reason the higher-ups wanted to keep it under wraps. You've got a 2-person team of detectives working night and day on cases, but they're not gaining traction fast enough. Orders roll downhill, and we've just gotten ours. The direction is to continue to keep it extraordinarily classified. Work on it with your unique insights and under your direction. Congratulations, Detective Denaro. It's what I've wanted, what we all want when we start as beat cops, but this unexpected promotion was certainly too easy. I didn't have to beg for the position, and you didn't mention Neil. We're a team, and a damn good one. I trust him, and I know he'll have my back if things get rough. Assign us both to the cases, Captain Morgan. We'll find the people who did this, and I promise you it'll be much faster if we're together. It doesn't take him long to consider the request, and he doesn't even pretend to negotiate. He nods. I was contemplating it before bringing you in here. I'll talk to the boys upstairs and smooth the way. One more promotion isn't going to ruffle any feathers in light of the severity of this case and potential impacts to the city if we don't solve it quickly. You've done undercover as a bartender before. That'll be what we use this time too. You'll start with a Descallia casino and resort. Women, despair, crosses, and blood. The images all swirl together with copious amounts of blood in every imaginable context, floating through my mind as the captain speaks. I rein it in, maintaining control with effort, but the visions and darkness aren't yet ready to quiet, remaining close to the periphery to await their next opening. A couple of things before we bring Neil in. Captain Morgan spins the monitor of his computer. Once the vampire and mafia communities learn about the women, they'll each blame each other. They've all settled into every large city across the globe, here and abroad, just like their families before them. The syndicate and vampires are more alike than they are different, Luce. And when this information gets out, every vampire affiliation will be blaming the syndicate first, and then each other. It's been rumored they have an agreement on territories, rackets, and several other business dealings. One of the affiliations is crossing a fragile and contentious line that doesn't have the strength to withstand this level of deception, and we need to figure out what it is, and fast, if we're going to help these women. I nod, because getting to them has to be the priority. The images are still faintly swimming in my head, but even once gone, they'll remain at the forefront of my conscience until we find them, or at least locate who's responsible and put an end to this psychopath's reign of terror. The vampires will think the syndicate is using it to create a divide, trying to hedge further into the trafficking business after they've shared what the vampires see as a fair share of the pie. Cap points to the picture on the screen. The syndicate will think the vampires haven't kept their word. They'll feel threatened that the vampires intend to work them out of this lucrative part of the business, perhaps starting an out-and-out war between all the factions. I swallow past the lump of images ensuing, carnage create. The war will come with swift magnitude if we don't find a way to stop it, Captain Morgan. If news of this gets out, if it filters to the masters of the vampires and the syndicate heads, the war we're talking about could be of a global magnitude we've not seen in our years on this earth. He nods, his eyes intent. And if Salvatore Descallia, overlord of the vampire masters, learns of this before we have a chance to figure out who's taking these women and what's happening to them, he will, without a doubt, descend on this city with a wrath we've not seen from the vampire community. He will do anything and everything in his power to ensure they are not blamed and ostracized for the abductions of these women. I hear the captain talking, and it should hold my attention, but the dark depths of the Salvatore Descallia's brooding eyes staring at me from the computer monitor hold my gaze instead, keeping me captured with the intensity of the energy surrounding him, even through the screen. I tremble as the new visions finding their way into my blood psyche, swirling with more images of servitude, blood, and a deep-seated desire that sends a shiver of anticipation straight down my spine and right to my center. Hope you enjoyed this reading.